Okay, so this is a tutorial to use the CFC or the cinematic framing system. So I've got this demo environment to show a little use case of the system. It's not the best representation of the system, but it works. So I'll just play the game. So what it's doing right now is it's trying to frame this character which is moving with this AI NPC. It's trying to make sure that this character is always in the frame. So we can configure settings that the camera can rotate in which axis, and the camera can also follow, and we can apply a factor to it as well. So for example, for this particular camera, yep, this one, if I open up this properties, it have got the maximum point distance is 1800, and that is used when we have two focus targets. We'll get to that later, but for now we have two options. I can either consider yaw only, or I can consider all the axes for the rotation of the camera. Then I have follow properties which have a factor as well. So let's say I make it 0.7 and 0.7 for both of these. Then you'll notice the camera will move along more along with the NPC as it moves. Now there we go, you can see the camera is moving a lot more, and of course it's setting the yaw only. So there's one more setting I think that we need to change, and that is considered yaw only. So I'll try to change that. Let's see how that goes. I haven't tested it a lot, so there are some issues. I need to play around with the properties and everything. Yeah, now you can see it's trying to frame the NPC always in the frame, or the view I should say. So yeah, I think at this point we should switch to another camera. Yep, there we go. I'll let this complete. Now, first thing before we actually get into the system, the way the use case of this, or how you use it, it actually depends on is it a game project, or what actually your project is, or what type of game it is. My inspiration to create a camera system like this is from a game called Trek to Yomi. You can search that up as well. So it's more of a it's more of a isometric top-down view. Not top-down, but yeah, kind of. So yeah, let's talk about what blueprints do I have. So in the plugin content, you'll find two blueprints, which is the framing camera main, which have got a cinematic camera component, or the framing camera component, which is of course a derived class from cine camera. And then we have got this event, which is switch camera event. What this does is I can select a framing camera reference, and it will just and I can assign this thing. To search it here. Yep, there it is. Tags to look. If the overlapped actor have any of these tags, it will trigger this event, and the camera will be changed. So yeah, and then I have this class as well. This is a C++ class, which is framing camera manager. So yeah, and it have got most of the functionality that we're doing, updating the camera and everything. But here comes the core part, which is our framing camera underscore main. What this is, it's basically just a framing camera component, which is a custom class derived from cine camera. So yeah, and now I'll just list the steps of what needs to be done to actually set up the camera. So I think let's go back to the third person map for now. So in this map, the very first step is let's actually open the game mode. So that is, I know I need the player controller. I'll go to the player controller, and I'll search camera manager. There it is. I need to use this class, which is called framing camera manager. I'll set this here in the player controller, and then I have placed two of these cameras, which is pp underscore framing camera main. One of them is here, the other one is here, and then I have got two of these as well, the switch camera events, and this one is set to switch 2 and this one is for main 1. So and now if I go to the level blueprint, what this does, it gets the player controller. I'll just remove this doesn't have to be here. So it sets the view to the framing camera manager. It sets this to this actor to the as a view target. Then I get the player camera manager. I cache this to framing camera manager. Then I set the targets, which is a primary focus target, which is going to be the player character. Then I have a secondary focus target, which is this character right here, which is already placed in the world, and I'm trying to use this AI move to not with this NPC. So, and then after we change the targets, it is required to call this function, which is available on the framing camera manager class. I need to call this function right here, and it will update all the properties. So yeah, I'll just play the game and I'll show you what exactly it does. So you can see it is trying to frame both of them in the view, and if I try to move, you can see since our player is the primary focus target, it tries to focus on the player. If it is they are very far away and it is mandated to get the camera have to get one character out of the frame, it will prioritize the character or the primary focus target. So yeah, and now if we talk about the settings that we have on our camera, we'll select the camera, and before that actually open up the blueprint, plugins, that is. Now I have got two functions on here, which is get camera framing properties, I think, yep, and set camera framing property. There we go. And let's see what have we got in here. Okay, so we have all of these properties. So let's go over all of them one by one. So what max midpoint distance does is it is this one is only valid if we have two targets, that is secondary target is valid. This one is doesn't matter if secondary target is a null pointer. So what this does, it calculates the midpoint between both the targets and try to rotate the camera in such a way that the camera is facing towards the midpoint. But let's say we don't want the camera rotated too far away from our primary focus target, so we can define a max midpoint distance. So the focus point won't be this much units away from the primary focus target. So then again, we are using interpolation and everything. So this is the midpoint interpolation speed. This is when we have already reached the max midpoint distance and we are still going farther away. And then we have the camera rotation speed as well. And then of course this variables, as the name suggests, considers yaw only or no. If we are considering yaw only, it's going to change the yaw value of the camera only, otherwise all of the axis. And then we have some following features. Now this depends on the primary focus, not the primary but actually both of them. As I said, the focus target is the midpoint between the primary focus target and the secondary focus target, considering the distance, the midpoint distance from the primary focus target is less than this value. Then what we do is, based on how much the focus target moves from the last frame, remove the camera as well. Now we can define a factor. So let's say if the focus point moves by 10 units into the x-axis and my factor is 1, then my camera is also going to move 10 units in the x-axis. If my factor is 0.5, then I'll multiply the value by 0.5, which is going to move the camera by 5 units, and the same follows for all of the axes. So yeah, we have that. And if I select this camera and I search properties, you'll see for this camera I have considered yaw always false, max midpoint distance is 489 or something. Yeah, and I have set all of the axes to follow. You'll notice if I move my character, the camera also moves with it in all the axes, the x, y and the z. So if I go ahead and I change the jump z velocity, let's make it 1200. You can see that the camera moves in the z-axis as well. Yeah, and if I switch to the other camera whose properties doesn't allow moving the camera, because all of this follow x follow y and follow z are set to false, and this one is considering yaw only. The maximum point distance is great here, so yeah, they can move very far away and the camera will focus in the midpoint. So let's switch to this camera. Now you can see the camera is rotating, but it's not translating, and I can move very far away and it is still focusing on the midpoint. And if sometimes the primary focus target can get out of frame because the this distance is very big. So let's try 600 here and see how does it work then. Here we go. Now you see that it's prioritizing the, I think the other NPC overlapped with this volume here. So yeah, this is how it works. And if I go to the level blueprint again, you'll see what I'm doing again is setting the view target first from the with the help of player controller. Then I get the camera manager to framing camera manager. I set the primary focus target, the secondary focus target. Then I request the camera properties update from the camera manager. And yeah, then I'm just doing this using this AI move to move the character to a random location. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the system, and I might be working on some more on this plugin, so there might be an update or a more advanced version of this plugin coming, but not very soon, of course. So yeah, that might include features like, let's say we have a swarm of enemies and we will focus on the player target as the primary focus and all of the other enemies as the secondary targets. For now we can have duels, if we have only single enemy, but let's say we have a lot of enemies, then we'll need to use that system instead. So yeah, that might be an update or a new version entirely. So yeah, thank you.